Canadians could be one ride closer to traveling on our country's first ever high-speed rail line.
A reliable, efficient, high-speed rail network will be a game changer for Canadians, slashing travel times by half, getting you from Toronto to Montreal in 3 hours.
It's going to be called Alto, and it will be a 1,000-kilometer line that runs from Toronto to Quebec City, has these 5 stops along the way. A trip from Toronto to Montreal, they say, will take about 3 hours. A team of private transit companies are going to collaborate with the government to operate and maintain this project. So for more on when we could actually see this up and running is Paul Langan. He's the president of High Speed Rail Canada. He's joining us from Cambridge, Ontario this morning. Welcome.
Hi, Anne-Marie.
Hi. Well, listen, you would know this better than I, but many countries we know around the world, including Europe and Japan, have had high-speed rail trains for decades. Why is it taking Canada so long to get on board with this?
Well, actually, it's just a case of if each year we didn't do it, each decade we didn't do it, it got harder for the Canadian public to see it as a reality, even though, as you've said, other countries have had it for, get ready for it, 60 years.
Yeah, well, 60 years is an interesting number because it makes me wonder how long it's actually going to take to get this up and running. The Alto design is going to take about 5 years. That's just for the design, and that includes having to iron out the train's route, where the new train stations are going to be built. So how long could it be before we actually get to ride on one of these things?
Well, you're quite correct. It might take 6 to 10 years just to get this going. Having said that, I think it's better we get it right. We bring in the people that have done it before from other countries that have experience in this, as opposed to some of the things we've done in Canada that haven't worked out because we tried to do it without the expertise from other countries. So I do want to get it right. It will take time, but again, you know, we've neglected this since day one of our passenger rail service in Canada. So it's going to take money and it's going to take time to do it.
Well, those are two really important things, money and time. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called this plan, quote, the largest infrastructure project in Canadian history. Ottawa says they've committed almost $4 billion over 6 years for the design phase. That's going to be on top of the $371 million that were announced for this in the 2024 budget. So, like, full cost, how much could we be looking at?
Well, if it costs around 30 or 40 billion to do this, it's not unreasonable because, again, we've neglected it so long. I want to compare to that idea to what Premier Ford's suggesting, a $100 billion tunnel under Toronto to put in lanes in a highway in a tunnel that won't take any cars off the road. So it's all in proportion, and I think it will cost money. We're doing it right. We're not playing this follow the freight train anymore.
Via, speaking of trains, first pitched a high-speed rail line all the way back in 1984. So if just the design process is going to take around 5 years, how optimistic should Canadians be that this project is actually going to get done? Because as you and I both know, transit projects start and end with changes in government. If we are looking at potential change in government over the next decade or so, is it possible this project gets dropped?
I think what's good, and I'm answering your question here, Anne-Marie, I think it's good that it's coming up at this time at the election so people can vote in the party that wants it, as opposed to in the past, it was never an election issue. Now it is. And if one party wants it and another party doesn't want it, now we can really say Canadians want this. We've never been asked. We've been asked, we need it, we want it. And it's going to happen as long as the right party gets in.
Yeah. Listen, you've called on Canada, by the way, to build a high-speed rail line for decades now. And we are one of the only G7 countries, we started this conversation by saying that doesn't have one. So what could and should we be learning from other countries as Alto is being designed over the next 5 years?
Well, and that's what I was saying. Like, we need to bring in the expertise. I was just over in Spain a few years ago riding high-speed trains just for my sanity to see it is used in countries to move people from A to B, affordable, and frequency and all the things that go along with it. So we need to bring in the experts to do it right. That's the #1 thing to make it work, to make this project a success.
Yeah, and can we make sure we bring in people who know about cold weather? Because that seems to have been the problem in local trains, both in the city of Ottawa and other places, that we build these rail lines and then we have to close them down when winter hits. Anyway, Paul Langan, that's just my 2 cents. President of High Speed Rail Canada, good to talk to you this morning.
Great talk to you, Anne-Marie. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.